The morning mist clung to the forest floor like forgotten dreams. Marcus stood at the edge of the clearing, his breath forming small clouds in the crisp autumn air. 3 months had passed since the accident. 3 months since everything changed. 3 months since he lost her. The pack house loomed behind him, its windows dark and empty. He had sent the others away weeks ago. Their worried glances and hushed conversations only made the silence louder. The silence where her laughter used to live. Marcus ran his hand through his dark hair, feeling the weight of leadership pressing down on his shoulders. An alpha without his Luna was like a wolf without its moon, incomplete, lost. The bond they had shared still thrummed beneath his skin, but now it felt hollow, like an echo of something beautiful that had been torn away. Sarah had been everything to him. His mate, his anchor, his reason for breathing. She understood the burden of leadership in ways no one else could. When the weight of pack decisions kept him awake at night, she would trace gentle circles on his back until sleep finally came. When younger wolves challenged his authority, she stood beside him with quiet strength that spoke louder than any growl. The morning sun filtered through the pine trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Marcus closed his eyes and tried to remember the sound of her voice calling his name, the way she said it soft and warm, like honey over warm bread. But memory was a cruel thing. The harder he grasped for it, the faster it seemed to slip away. A branch snapped somewhere behind him. Marcus turned, his alpha senses immediately alert, but there was nothing there, just the empty clearing and the morning wind rustling through. The leaves. He'd been hearing things lately, footsteps when he was alone, doors closing in empty rooms, the soft whisper of fabric against skin. Dr. Jennifer Hayes, the pack's physician, had suggested grief counseling. She spoke in gentle tones about the stages of loss, about healing and moving forward. But how could he move forward when every fiber of his being screamed that Sarah was still here, still close enough to touch if only he could reach far enough? Marcus walked back toward the house, his boots crunching softly on the fallen leaves. The front door stood slightly ajar, though he was certain he had closed it when he left. He paused, his hand resting on the worn wooden frame. The house felt different today, warmer somehow, as if someone had been there, stirring up memories and filling the empty spaces with something he couldn't quite name. Inside, the living room looked exactly as he had left it. Sarah's favorite blue throw was still draped over the back of the couch. Her coffee mug sat on the end table, unwashed since that last morning. He had tried to clean it once, but his hands had shaken so badly he nearly dropped it. Some things were too precious to wash away. The afternoon stretched long and quiet. Marcus sat in his study, staring at pack documents that needed his attention. Territory disputes and mating ceremonies and the 100 small decisions that kept their world running smoothly. But the words blurred together on the page. He found himself listening instead to the subtle sounds of the house settling around him. That's when he heard it. So soft, he almost missed it. The gentle pad of bare feet on hardwood floors. Marcus lifted his head, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sound came again, moving from the kitchen toward the living room, slow and familiar, like someone who knew every creaking board and loose floorboard. Sarah? The word escaped him as barely more than a whisper. The footsteps stopped. The house held its breath. Marcus rose from his chair, moving with the careful grace of a predator. But he wasn't hunting. He was hoping for something impossible. Something that would make the world make sense again. The living room was empty when he reached it, but the blue throw had been moved, folded neatly, and placed on the cushion where Sarah used to sit. Marcus stared at it, his breath catching in his throat. He had left it draped over the back of the couch. He was sure of it. "I know you're here," he said to the empty room. "I can feel you." The air grew warmer. Not the artificial heat of the furnace, but something deeper. something that reminded him of summer afternoons and lazy mornings spent in bed. The scent of vanilla and wildflowers drifted through the room. So faint he might have imagined it, but he knew that scent, had breathed it in 1,000 times while she slept beside him. Marcus sank onto the couch, his hands trembling as he picked up the folded throw. It was warm to the touch, warm like skin, like the lingering heat of someone who had just been there. "Sarah," he said her name like a prayer. "Sarah, please, I need to know you're okay." The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words. Then, so softly he might have imagined it, he heard her voice. Not words, exactly. More like the memory of words, the echo of all the times she had whispered his name in the darkness. "I'm here, Marcus. I'm still here." Tears burned his eyes as he pressed the throw against his chest. "I don't understand. The accident. I saw them pull you from the car. I felt our bond break." The air shimmered beside him like heat waves rising from summer pavement. For just a moment he could see her, translucent and beautiful, her long brown hair falling in waves around her shoulders, her green eyes so full of love and sadness. She reached out as if to touch his face, and he leaned into the phantom caress. "The bond didn't break, my love. It changed. I couldn't leave you, not when you needed me most." "But you're gone." The words tore from his throat like broken glass. "The pack needs their Luna. I need my mate." Sarah's image flickered, growing more solid, more real. "You have me, you'll always have me. Love doesn't die, Marcus. It transforms." He understood then. The warmth he felt in empty rooms, the sense of being watched over and protected, the way pack members had started seeking him out again, drawn by a strength they couldn't name but could feel. She hadn't left him. She had become something else, something that existed in the spaces between heartbeats and the silence between words. "I will always be your Luna," she whispered, her voice growing stronger. "And you will always be my Alpha. Death is just another territory to explore together." Marcus felt the bond between them pulse with new life, different from before, but no less real, no less true. She was his ghost, his guardian, his eternal mate, and he was hers, bound by something stronger than flesh and blood. The sun set through the windows, painting the room in shades of gold and amber. Sarah's image began to fade, but her presence remained, warm and constant and forever. "I love you," Marcus whispered to the gathering darkness. "And I love you," came her reply, carried on the evening wind, "until the stars fall from the sky." The house settled around them, no longer empty, no longer silent, filled instead with a love that had learned to exist beyond the boundaries of life and death. Marcus smiled for the first time in months, knowing that some bonds are too strong for even death to break. In the distance, a wolf howled, then another, his pack calling him home, calling their alpha back to the world of the living. Marcus stood, Sarah's throw still clutched in his hands, and howled back. The sound echoed through the forest, carrying with it a message of love that would never die. He was ready to lead again, ready to live again, ready to love in a way that transcended everything he thought he knew about forever. Because true mates find each other in every lifetime, even the ones that come after life itself.